because this is an absolutely fascinating subject. When you look at what somebody is prepared to do to make someone happy, fulfill their dreams, there is still like a lot of good people out there. But once you read past that, the fascinating number of questions that can be asked about this issue is incredible. Less and less women are stepping forward as egg donors to help couples who suffer fertility issues. Now, a leading fertility expert is even calling for the reversal of the right to know law introduced in 2005, and that allows a child to have information or make contact with their donor once they reach 18. So, if you donate your eggs and it's successful, 18, 20 years' time, you might get a knock at the door from someone saying, hello, you don't know me, but, etc., etc. But could you do it in the first place? Could you help another woman fulfill her desire to be a mother? Alison Bagshaw is from the Altrui Egg Donor Clinic in North Yorkshire and is with us on the line. Alison, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
Just tell us a bit about the clinic.
Well, we're not actually a clinic. We actually are an organisation that help couples who want to start a family find an egg donor in the UK.
Okay. And do many women come forward?
Yes, they do. There are a lot of people out there, and they are genuinely lovely, altruistic women who approach us feeling that they might be able to help a couple start a family. But unfortunately, a lot of people are unable to actually go through the process itself because of various reasons. So although we have a lot of people wanting to help, and it's massively kind, there are not so many who actually can be a donor.
I mean, it's a huge decision to make, isn't it?
It is a big decision. It's not as big as people might like to think about it. It is actually a very straightforward, fairly risk-free process. And the end result for a donor going through this is such a rewarding experience, as I hope you'll hear from another donor who you're perhaps speaking to. But it is something that people feel very, very satisfied about. It gives them a huge sense of fulfillment and completion, and that they've done something incredibly good that will stay with them for the rest of their lives, really.
If we may, can you talk us through, if you want, the process? What's involved in donating?
Okay. First of all, a donor would have to go through a screening process, just like if you were a bone marrow or a blood donor. And then when you've cleared through the clinical screening, you then start a very short cycle of IVF. Now, IVF for an egg donor is much more straightforward than if you were going through IVF to start a family yourself. So it's for a very short period of time. It's for 2 weeks. It is painless at the end of the day when they collect the eggs. Altrui works with licensed treatment centres in the UK who actually do it in a way that donors will not feel it, not be aware of the actual egg collection process itself. And after 2 weeks of taking medication, the donor is ready to go through this process, and once they've donated, that's it for them clinically.
I suppose a lot of women think that, actually donating the eggs is going to be a very painful, and it's almost like a step into the unknown. They're not quite sure what's going to happen, and that might put a few people off.
It does, but we reassure them. I think that Altrui is very much behind all these donors going through. I only work with centres that actually make this as easy, straightforward, as comfortable for them as possible. And like I said, if a donor's going through this, it is a different process than if somebody was actually trying to conceive a baby themselves through it. So the meds themselves are not so, there's not such a high dose. It's very, very much shorter time frame for them. And the injections are very straightforward. It's like an EpiPen or a diabetic pen when they do the injections. And as I said, at the end of the day, we work with centres that actually enable the donor to go through this without any pain whatsoever, and they are unaware of the egg collection process.
What do you think of this right to know law?
Well, it's been there since 2005, and do you know what? It really isn't a particularly big deal. Particularly with the donors that we have there are so many different ways of parenting now. There are so many families that have got half siblings and full siblings out there that, and it's not something that people are quite so concerned about as they were perhaps 10 years ago. There is a call for the change in this, or a repeal on that. But actually, I think that this isn't what's putting people off donating. I think people just don't know that they can be egg donors. I think that's the message that we want to get out there, is that there are women between 18 and 35 who can be egg donors, and it isn't a big, frightening process as people might like to think. And the law isn't there to frighten people off. It's there just to give people a bit of a safety net in the future.
But do you think that might impact a little bit on people's decisions whether to donate or not? That, in, 18, 20 years' time, they may get a knock at the door, not by one, not by two, but by a couple of people. Say hello.
Yes, that's what people's fear and fantasies are. But no, they have to go to the licensing authority, and the licensing authority will actually notify a donor that this is somebody who potentially wants to know about them. But it's not a situation where people are just going to have that experience. Donors who come forward do know that there is a chance that any donor-conceived person might want to know who they are. But they have a mum and a dad. It's not there for to be intrusive. It's often there to find out about their genetic heritage, medical issues, or to know if they have half siblings. But it's not really quite as scary as people fear, that it's going to be a knock on the door.
And I suppose the way to look at it is it's not about the donor. It's what you're doing for the people you're helping. Exactly. It's not all about you.
It's not all about you. You're quite right. And it is, these donors are just incredible, and they take it in their stride, the ones who come forward. And I think we probably don't hear about the ones who are frightened off. We don't get to take those ones through, but the ones who do go through are absolutely okay with this.
How do people get in touch then? If a woman is interested, how would they go about this?
Thank you. What they do is they log on to the Altrui website. It's www.altrui.co.uk, or they can call us, or they can text us on 01969 667 875.
There you go. Look at that.
Thank you. And look at our Facebook page. There's lots of reviews about donors who have been through their experiences, and I hope maybe you're going to be talking to somebody who has been through the process.
Everyone's got a Facebook page these days.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to talk to you. That's Alison Bagshaw from Altrui. More on this in just a moment. Indeed, I think we are going to be talking to someone who has been through this. Let's speak to Zoe, who's with us on the line, who's experienced what it's like to donate her eggs. And Zoe, morning to you. Thanks for talking to us today.
Morning, no problem.
Why did you want to donate your eggs then?
It all started really when we had kind of reached the decision that we had completed our family, and I had a lot of friends who were really, really struggling to conceive, really struggling with infertility, and I thought, well, we had no problem with it. There must be something that I can do, and so I looked into it. I found Altrui, and that's where it all started, really.
What was the process like?
Really straightforward. I kind of sent across my details. I had a phone call the next day, and it all really kicked off from there. I had to go and visit the hospital a couple of times, and then I was kind of left at home to do the injections. When it came to the actual day of the donation, I was in and out the hospital within an hour, recovered for a couple of days at home, and that was me done, really.
I mean, it is important to point out and to stress as well that, that's your case. Everybody is different.
Everybody is different. For me, Alison and the team at Altrui were really helpful, really, really supportive. I always had somebody at the other end of the phone, so that was really, really helpful for me personally, because any questions I could just go straight to them. The hospital were great because I did have to travel to them, so they made sure that the visits were really convenient for me, so I didn't have to take any time off work. I could fit it in around my family. And the actual procedure, I was in and out within an hour of getting to the hospital. Actually, I think it was 2. And my partner was there, my daughter came with us, and we were then kind of left to enjoy our day. I had one day off work for the procedure. I then had a couple of days at home to recover. And, I just really want to stress it's not something that anyone has to really worry about, and it's not, a huge, horrible impact on your life, because it fitted in with us really, really well. The injections are obviously hormones. My partner will say that he did have to up his chocolate and ice cream supply over the times that I was taking them. But aside from that, it was really straightforward, really easy for us. And, we had a couple of moments where he decided just to feed me chocolate to just calm me down a little bit. But aside from that, you have some bellyache after the procedure, but nothing worse than what women experience on a month-to-month basis anyway. So.
And how did you feel, though, in yourself after, knowing that you had made a donation and changed another couple's life?
Oh, it's amazing. It's such a strange feeling, because it is just so simple and so straightforward to do. And I think that thing that is really quite easy for somebody who is able to do it to do, actually for somebody else, you've just completely transformed their life.
Yeah.
And what you've done is you've given them something they've just been so, so, so desperate for probably such a long time, and it's been so difficult, and they've probably experienced such heartache. And something for me that was relatively simple and straightforward, for somebody else, has just absolutely transformed their life. And that feeling is what made it all completely worth it.
Okay, but say in 18 years' time, however many years it is, you get a knock at the door or a phone call. How are you going to react then?
I'd be absolutely fine with that. Because obviously that is something that's covered before you even, right at the very beginning when you're asked, when you inquire about donating, that is spoken about. And for me, obviously, if I was the product of a donated egg, that's how I looked at it personally. And I thought, well, for me, it'd just be intrigue. Like, who is this lady who decided to do that? And where did half of my genes come from? And for me, that'd be fine. I know it wouldn't just be someone knocking on my door. So that was, made really clear. And I'd be, absolutely fine if they wanted to talk and find out more about me. I'd welcome that. And equally, if I never heard from them again, I'd know that that'd be absolutely fine as well. All of it was completely covered, and I'd just welcome it, because obviously it's somebody who'd want to find out a bit more about their kind of genetic history, I guess, and that would be fine with me.
So what advice would you give to a couple? Because yes, I know it's primarily the lady, but there is probably a partner involved in here.
Yeah.
So a couple who are thinking about doing this, what advice would you give to them?
Oh, buy lots of chocolate.
Number one, buy chocolate. Number two,
buy chocolate. Number two, just don't worry about it. It is so straightforward. I was just so supported. There was never a time when I thought this is a really horrible experience. And I wouldn't worry. It's not something to be scared of. It's not something to worry about. The procedure is probably the most, scary part of it. And even that wasn't horrible. And it's just, if you can do it, and if you're a person out there who's aged between 18 and 35 who thinks, actually, this is something I wonder if I'm able to do, then just ask the question. Because if I'd never asked, there's a couple out there probably still be without a child. And I think it's just so straightforward and so easy to do. Just ask the question and come and read the stories. And because I think people don't know about it, and I think that's the thing that really helped me along, was reading all the stories online and realising that actually it's not horrible and it's not something to worry about, and it can change somebody's life, and it's not hard and it's not horrible and it's not something to be scared of. And that's it, and you just completely transform somebody's life, and take that feeling and be proud of yourself, because that was something I wasn't very good at. I didn't own that feeling of pride, and it's taken me a little while to go, actually, no, I've done something really amazing. And I'd say own that, because you really have done something amazing when you do donate your eggs.
Zoe, good to talk to you. Thank you for that.